welcome back to Guild Wars 2. Today we are continuing the Living World Season 4 storyline. This one is the second chapter. So we start off going to the desert and infiltrating our way into an Inquest base to try and get more information on Joko and what specifically he's researching. So we dress up as Inquest. Bram and Rox come with us. They're my Inquest prisoners. And it's, I get them squared away. They go where they're supposed to go, and then I suddenly have to navigate my way through this Inquest lab, which was fine initially, but then the farther you get into the lab, the more sensors and stuff there are to notice that you're not actually a golem, or you're not who you're supposed to be. So if the sensor even touches you, you gotta start over. Fortunately, they give you checkpoints throughout, so it's not like you have to go all the way back to the beginning. It's just that checkpoint. But good lord, if you get out of that suit, if you get caught, you get swarmed. Swarmed. This is why I never get achievements. I never get storyline achievements. But yeah, you're just supposed to try to not get caught. I'm terrible at that. I am not good at stealthy things. Just hysterical, because this is the most stealthy of classes. But I don't have any of my normal abilities. I'm just trapped in this golem body. Good lord, if you run out of your cooldowns, because those little scanner things are so annoying, and the patterns are predictable, but not as predictable as you might like, or a lot quicker, and you would think they are. So this took me a while to trudge my way through it. It took me way too long to trudge my way through it. But we did eventually make it to the end, where we thought perhaps we could our goal was to get to the actual Inquest base that Joko was doing all of his disease stuff in. But naturally that didn't happen. We ended up teleporting to a Inquest base close to, but not actually where we wanted to be. So we're there, so we're kind of trying to figure out where we are and what's going on. We realize they're doing a lot of research on diseases and stuff. We're kind of okay, cool. And we're still trying to locate Blish for Taimi. Taimi knew Blish when they were in school together. So she was really worried about him and kind of wanted to figure out what happened to him and why he was helping the Inquest. And now Joko. And then we end up finding a Char prisoner, and she's from a local village, the Olmacon village. And we end up initiating a self-destruct sequence for this lab that we're in. Just blow it all up. And so we have to escape, and we escape via the roof, because how else would we escape? It obviously just up is always the answer. Excuse me. So we land on the Olmecon beach. I think it's Botica. Takes us to the village, and we speak with the elders, and they're like, well, we don't really want to help, but like, they're kind of like, nah, we don't want to. But some of them are like, well, they are like kidnapping and experimenting on some of us, so maybe it'd be a good idea. So while we're kind of waiting for them to make a decision and everything like that, we are talking to a couple of the cubs, and we go through and we show them like our powers and stuff, and they kind of show us what they can do. And then while all of this is going on, the Inquest come and attack the village. So then we're suddenly, in this middle of a big fight. We're trying to save as many of the Char as possible. And again, it's just the villagers, Bram, Rox, and I at this point. Like, Tommy is still on the communicator. Not 100% sure. I don't remember where Ritlock or Canuck are. I'm not 100% sure where Casimir is. Marjorie, I don't know where Marjorie is. And like, I don't think we've seen hide nor tail of Keith yet either. Like, it's just, it's a mess. Like, Ritlock and Canuck are doing something. Or at least Ritlock is. I don't remember what though. But Aurene does show up to help us fight this fight. So that's always helpful. So we go through this battle, keeping the cubs as safe as possible. I feel like I'm missing a chunk, but that was maybe not. Sorry, I was trying to figure out what was happening in this particular sequence of events. I think I'm just trying to get to... I needed to talk to Aurene. Okay. Right, so Aurene flies over and shows us the layout of the Inquest base. That is where Blish is, and where they are doing a whole bunch of disease nonsense. Is a no-no. So we come up with oh my god, sorry. So it's just a matter of going through and infiltrating the space and figuring out the best way to get into the space and exploring it slowly but surely, and going through it step by step. We have to these buttons. The buttons were so annoying. Like, that's the puzzle that you had to do to get into these different areas, and I'm terrible at that kind of puzzle. Um, we did eventually get through it though. So yeah, our goal right now is to get through. There were so many buttons. There were so many buttons. I was like, if I hit the button enough, I will eventually make it through. And then I had to hit all these buttons, and there was just like, I don't want to hit all, like, I do want to hit all the buttons, but like, I don't want to have to hit the buttons in the order that you're telling me I have to hit the buttons. Like, just let me figure it out. So I finally go through there, and I think that was just to get to security tapes. Like, I'm pretty sure that was just to like sabotage some stuff and listen to security tapes. And then we touch base with our team, and then we go to the next area. And there's like 4 or 5 different areas I think that we had to go through for this nonsense. Not all of them were as obnoxious as the first one though. That first one though, with all the buttons, was by far the most obnoxious. But it was a lot of beating stuff up. It was a lot of going through. It's just a lot. I mean, fortunately, the map's not that big. It is a very large base, though. And there's just random monsters everywhere. Like, this part, there's like awakened mummies, and then there's Inquest to beat up at a different part. And it's like, I know Joko is taking over the Inquest, but I'm so sick of beating up those minions. I'm so sick of it. And then we had to figure out how to ride like this energy beam through, and there are so many unnecessarily puzzles. And I know it's Inquest nonsense, so obviously there's puzzles, but like, it didn't have to be. And then I'd send myself back down to the bottom, and it was just, riding those waves were rather annoying. But eventually we hit the button. We could go on to the next one. I think the last 2 were the easiest of the bunch. The first 2 were... This one was the conveyor belt one. Which I don't actually know if the conveyor belt was how they wanted you to get into that area, but that's how I decided it was the best course of action. And actually, I do think that was how they wanted you to go through it, because I don't think I was the only one doing it at the time. I think there was 1 or 2 other people that were around me also trying to figure out this nonsense. And like, trying to get through the air, and then as soon as one air hit you, it was a mess. It was a mess trying to jump between the platforms. Then I finally got to the place I needed to get to, and then I could go to the last place. So it was just, but once you did these 4 areas, then you could move on to actually infiltrating the base as like full-fledged storyline. Like, this is just getting like the shield generators and stuff down. This was like a portal. This is like the portal game. Just figure out which portals go where and how to do that. And then sorry, I get distracted by like watching and seeing what I'm doing on the screen. Downside to recording the voiceover well after I've done this. Not because I haven't wanted to record the voiceover, but because I haven't had the opportunity to. So we finish the bass part, and once the bass part is done, we start the final part of infiltrating the base. Saida from earlier in the living world. Yes, earlier in the living world. Or Path of Fire. We met Saida earlier. Her airship came back and she flew us in. Very helpful. And then Rox and the Olmacons were simultaneously attacking the base as a distraction as we were going through and trying to find Blish and the information and destroy anything and everything we could destroy to, prevent Joko from doing Joko things, because he's bad. He's all bad. Have to save the world again. So this is just Bram and I going through and trying to do our best to kick everybody's butts. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, this character is just so squishy sometimes. I do... So we get through... so many yawns. So we get through this part. We end up brain fog. Sorry. We end up finding Blish and his brother, Gorik. And when we find Blish, he is in a golem. Like, not like hiding in a golem, like his essence, like his brain, his consciousness is in a golem. Which is interesting. And Timey also finds that very interesting when we eventually reunite them. We did have to do an obnoxious boss for this living world. She portaled us through different areas in time and space. It was a whole mess. Puzzles, phases, you name it, she had it. It was annoying. But Timey was super happy to see Blish. She was actually super intrigued about the golem part. And essentially, Joko does in fact want to do the Scarab Plague, which is what took out the Primeval Dynasty, if I remember correctly. But we whittle this general down slowly but surely, and we get it done eventually. Like I said, this character is not the best for the story missions. Like, this character is amazing for events like short bow or daggers or staff. Like, I can make any of them work in an event. Just the one companion running through a mission is just not ideal for this character. If I can run through and pick things off one by one, it's a little easier, but this is just not an ideal setup. But I've been enjoying the season world. Season 4. because I wasn't super excited to have to deal with Joko first. I kind of thought we were done with Joko when Path of Fire ended. He was locked away in the mists. Apparently he escaped, so we have to deal with him again. And we get to push Kralkadork to the side, because Joko has decided to be a bigger threat than Kralkadork. But I do like having Lorene around. It's nice that she can show up once in a while and be more present in the story. Like, the hardest part with this chapter was there wasn't so much stuff. Like, this isn't, like, I would have to say episode 2 out of this living world so far has probably not been the most intense of things. It's still more interesting than season 2. Living World season 2 was all information all the time, like very slow build up. They definitely have increased how fast they're building stuff up, which is nice. I like that it's a little quicker, a little more fast paced. So I'm curious to see how the rest of the episodes play out, if they continue being as fast paced or if they slow it back down, because this feels, episode 2 feels slower almost than episode 1. Episode 1 felt a little bit more urgent, I guess. Like I felt like there was a little bit more going on in episode 1 than in this episode, but we shall see. And I have been talking to everybody more before leaving instances and stuff to see, because I feel like I missed a lot of information going through the story, but like, that's neither here nor there. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye guys.